How's it going, guys? My name is Oliver. In today's video, I want to talk about a subject that's slightly different than what I normally talk about on my channel. If you're not familiar, normally I talk about everything that's related to entrepreneurship, online businesses, how to find ideas, or sometimes I share creative ideas that I think about as I'm doing these videos. But today I want to talk about the main differences of being an entrepreneur and having a regular 9-to-5 job. Now, if you're watching this video, probably 90% of you are leaning towards the entrepreneurship route, which I applaud you. I personally believe like that's the way to go. But obviously, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone, because if it was for everyone, everyone would do it. But obviously, that's not the case. We have many more people who are doing 9-to-5s than are entrepreneurs. It's not the easy route, but I mean, the way I see it is you only have one life. You might as well go all in and risk it and trying to start something that's grand and really spend your entire life trying to start that crazy business idea instead of taking more so the safe route and living a mediocre life. That's the way I see it. That being said, obviously when you start off as an entrepreneur, you need money. Okay, not necessarily money to start a business, but more so money to survive. So most of you will have to work or have some sort of side hustle that can support you while you're building your true business. I personally believe, like I know it's dependent on your situation, like where you are in life and everything, but I feel like I could easily survive on my own by simply doing side hustles the weekends or Fridays as well, like 3 days a week, and grinding crazy hard. I do door knocking, so I could really grind those businesses and make enough money to survive during the whole month, the whole year, while I work on my real business, the business that I really wanted to grow and be my main source of income. So I'm not gonna completely hate on 9-to-5s because eventually you will need one. Like if you're not able to have a side hustle like I am, you will have to work a 9-to-5. So the way I see it, what I recommend to my friends who are working like regular jobs is two options. One, they find a career where their salary is not capped. So most of the time it's sales. I don't know if I've shared this on this channel, but during the summers, I work as a door-to-door knocker and I'm also a sales manager. And everything's commission based. And during that summer, I make enough money to survive the entire year on my own. And for me, that's the perfect ideal situation because yes, I am sacrificing my summers. Like I work like crazy when it's the summer, 6, 7 days a week, 12+ hour shifts. Like I'm grinding really hard, but I know that once that summer is over, the rest of the year I can just chill, make content and work on business ideas that might take a bit more time to actually see results. Now, obviously not everyone's going to be able to do exactly what I'm doing and work only in the summers. Like I'm aware that I'm very grateful I found this opportunity and it's something that I'm naturally good at, so I'm able to do this. But if not, I recommend just finding a part-time job. And if you can, a part-time job where you work more than 8 hours per shift. So like I used to work at Costco. Let's not go down that route. I am not going to talk about my experiences there. I really didn't like it there. But that was like my last regular 9-to-5 job. And I was working part-time because I was at school. And what I realized is like I was doing 4-hour shifts every time, 4 or 5 hour shifts. And during the summer, I would do, let's say 6 days or 5 days in a row doing 4-hour shifts. And what I realized is that people who do 8-hour shifts, they have they waste 8 hours of their day working. And then on top of that, they have transportation, getting prepared, eating before, preparing lunch, like all this stuff in preparation to go to work. And you just waste so much time by doing that. So what I recommended to a couple of my friends was to find a part-time job where they could work, let's say 12 hours in a day, or 9 hours in a day, 10 hours a day, whatever, more than 8 hours, and just reduce the amount of days that they go to work. I would much rather work 3 days a week like crazy, but know that the rest of the week I have off. So I would prefer just kind of condensing everything to like a small period so that the rest of the period I have free. So that's what I'm doing, but instead of doing it during the days of the week, I do it during the months of the year. So for 3 months, I grind super hard, and then the rest of the year I have free and I can basically focus on school, focus on my business ideas, and just do my own thing. So I kind of went off topic talking about the differences between 9-to-5s and entrepreneurship. I don't think it's like a yes and no. I think it's like you have to start here and find a way to find some free time so you can slowly transition into entrepreneurship. Because as much as I hate 9-to-5s, you still need money when you get going. Like you have to survive somehow. And if you're not able to build a successful business, then you have to rely on a different source of income. Which is why like I really preach the door knocking stuff, because it really allowed me from day one to start making good money, which avoided completely this whole 9-to-5 thing. But if you're not able to do that, I understand. You will have to grind somehow to transition into the entrepreneurship world. And before I end this video, I want to share a graph that I saw that compares the income of a entrepreneur and someone who works in 9 to 5, and I found it quite interesting. So I'm not able to find the exact graph that I found like a couple of days ago, but this one is pretty much the same thing. So as you can see, you have your earned income on the left side, so the y-axis, and on the x you have the time, so the amount of years that you spend working. So as you can see, when you start as an entrepreneur, I think even the reason why I don't like this graph is that it starts at like 20 something grand, which honestly, depending on the type of business that you start, you might be at zero for a good while. So this graph isn't entirely accurate, but let's say it starts at zero. The reason why many people fail at entrepreneurship, so especially young people, is that we're at like this age bracket where some people are starting to graduate from college, some people avoided college altogether, they went to a trade school and they start working, and you can see they have like a decent base salary when they start out. Here, when I live in Canada, typical college degree, you start at 60, 70 grand a year, like somewhere in that area. So it can be discouraging when you see your friends working these types of jobs and you're out here like in the basement trying to grind, trying to find like a business idea that's going to work for you. And I think this is like, if you can overcome this little area where you're comparing yourself to everyone else who took the traditional route, if you can avoid doing that, it's going to help you so much to actually succeed as an entrepreneur. So if you follow the graph, as you can see, the employee line, it starts at 40 grand. It's a very linear line, like nothing exponential happens, nothing crazy happens. It's very predictable. And as you can see, it caps out at about 80 grand, which honestly, I think it's pretty low. Like if you're an engineer or something like that, maybe we could go up to 150. A couple people can reach like the 300, 400, 500 mark if they reach that CEO level, which is very good. But as you can see, as an entrepreneur on the green line, you start off very low compared to someone who just graduated and found a typical office job. But there comes a point, and in this graph, it's around the 7 to 8 year mark, where there's like a crossover where you match the income of someone who is an employee. And from that point on, that's normally when you can grow in an exponentially rate and completely destroy the amount of money that you make compared to regular people who work 9 to 5s. So this graph is very good. I think whenever you feel kind of down, like when you compare yourself to your friends who took a traditional route and you see they're making more money than you, they appear to be more successful, take a look at this graph and remind yourself that I'm going to have to sacrifice a couple of years to actually see results. But once I do see results, it's going to be absolutely insane, and I'm going to thank myself over and over for actually grinding during those years and achieving the goals and the objectives that I've set in my life. And another thing that's very important is that people will, like I know we just talked about money, and the first thing that people say, like if you ask them why do you want to be an entrepreneur, it's normally because they want to buy Lambos and they want to have a crazy amount of money. I think another factor that's very important, that even if the CEO who took the traditional route is making $500,000 a year, and you as an entrepreneur is making, let's say, 200 grand a year, I still see the entrepreneur as being a lot more successful than the CEO who's making $500,000. Why? Because the CEO can't just drop everything and say, oh, I'm going to go on vacation for 6 months. No, he still has to go to the office every day. He still probably has people above him who are telling him what to do. He has no location freedom. He probably has to go to a specific place, either for meetings or work in like a regular office area job. I'm like, yeah, it's nice you make $500,000 a year. It's a safe route, but I mean, do you really want to ask daddy for permission to go on vacation for a week, or do you want to be able to just make that whole decision and just, if you want to go for a week, you go for a week. If you want to go for a month, you go for a month. You work when you want, where you want. I feel like I would much rather make a lot less money, but live that type of lifestyle where I have freedom of absolutely every aspect of my life. I do not want to be tied down to anything. Location, time, people, like I want to be able to just go wherever I want and do whatever the hell I want. And that for me is like the main aspect why I want to be an entrepreneur. So I think this is a very important thing to keep in mind. Okay, if you tell yourself like, well, maybe I should become an engineer because they can make as much money and they can make almost 200 grand a year. Like it's cool. It's like, yeah, you make 200 grand a year, but don't forget you're working a regular office job and you're working for someone else. And I personally cannot work for someone else. That's not something I like. I don't, that's not something I want to do my entire life. Okay, when you're young, it's okay. But I mean, just look at a 50 or 60-year-old who has to work for someone else. I mean, I see these people all the time, like when I'm in Montreal and I walk around and I see like these older people in suits and stuff getting told what to do by younger people even sometimes. It's kind of like, I don't know, like for me, it's not something I want to live, and that's not the life that I want. So yeah, this was a bit of a longer video, but honestly, like if you do decide to take this entrepreneur path, good for you. It's going to be hard work, but remember the graph that at first you're going to suck. Everyone's going to look at you. They're going to laugh at you. And then after a couple of years, those same people will be coming towards you, asking you for advice and help on how to grow their own business. Okay? Just give it some time. You can do it. Don't give up. And remember, it's not only the money, it's also freedom. Okay? You're doing this so that you can rest, you can live the rest of your life doing whatever the hell you want. Thank you very much for listening, and see you on the next video.